So, good evening, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome. And we're going to start with a very, very nice news that the Square Panda has been awarded for 2021 in the category of startup in the educational sector. We've all been together almost 86 weeks, and today, on the 87th week, we actually are so happy to announce that the entire journey and the intent of this wonderful, wonderful team has been awarded, has been recognized. And to introduce our first speaker after this wonderful award, we have to first have our story with Pan because he is our lucky mascot. So we can't miss out on that. So our speaker is going to wait for just a minute before. So Pan is out with his friend Bunny today. Do you remember Bunny used to put things all over the place? Now Pan looked at Bunny and showed him this big clock and said, you know, Bunny, we have to do everything on time. I wake up on time. And Bunny looked at him and said, it's okay to wake up just late. It's fine. So Pan looked at him and said, you know, I eat my breakfast on time. And Bunny said, I'm late and it's just fine. Again, Pan looked at him and said, do you study on time? So Bunny said, I get a bit late, but it is just fine. So Pan looked a little puzzled. He said, oh, but my mommy told me that discipline is good for me. So Bunny said, really? I don't think it's important. How important is it? I have yet to see. And then everything opened up. The schools opened up and the school bus came. Now, what did Pan do? He woke up in the morning, he dressed up beautifully, he put everything in his bag and was on the bus stop on time. And what was Bunny doing? He was sleeping in bed and saying getting late is just fine. So Bunny missed his first beautiful day at school. And then he realized to be indisciplined is not very cool. And that is the whole purpose of our this clock getting together with a very, very young, energetic, person who spreads a lot of goodwill as well. So Mayank, a very warm welcome to our platform.
Thank you so much.
So just before I hand over the stage to you, I have to tell everybody that when Mayank wished me a happy new year this time, it was a very, very unique wish. And I looked at it and I said that maybe this is something we need to talk about. It was a beautiful message, and I read it at least 5 times, man. I went through it, I read it, and I read it again, and then I sent him a message. I said that, would you come and talk on our show? So the message was this. It said, it's 3rd January today, and I intentionally have waited for the past 2 days for the festive mood to settle for the year's first working day to arrive and then share my wishes for this year. Let 2022 be the year of discipline, as it is one of the most important traits that we and the world needs of us right now. There is so much to build or rebuild, grow and grow back, achieve or get. All our dreams and ideas are like waves. They come endlessly in our consciousness. But if only and only action taken at the correct time will make them come true. And when I read this message, I couldn't resist but to request this young energy to come and talk to us on our show. So Mayank, it is very special because that was that message, which normally I scroll through messages and skip them, but yours I had to read 5 times. So I'm going to ask you to tell us your story, how you have gone into what you do and what you have behind you, WAL-ED, the value education, as far as I see it as a full form. If you could talk to us.
Thank you so much. Probably congratulations first to the Square Panda family for this amazing honor. I think you're doing some exceptional work, and I wish you the best. And I hope that you can continue and reach thousands and millions more people. Thank you, Sonia ji, for inviting me. I'm so glad that the message I sent to you resonated a chord. Of course, it's a reflection of what you see as important in life. So you deserve equal amount of praise for it. Coming to me, so I'm probably like an accidental educator of sorts. Um, I believe that when we are young, a lot of us, do know some people in our classroom who say that, I want to be a teacher. So that's the innocence of the young mind. And as we keep on moving ahead from one to second, second to third, we've noticed how, that those answers change from teacher to doctor, engineer, businessman, and so on and so forth. So mine also actually went in that direction. But as fate would have it, that over the experience which I've had in my childhood, in my young days at college, in the first organization that I've been a part of, all of them kept on bringing up the same message, which I think the universe gave to me about what's the purpose of your life, right? And whenever I sought it, when I was in college or when I was working, I was never very satisfied with what I was doing, and eventually it led me to a place of asking that, when will I simply, hang up my boots and say that, okay, this is now what I devote myself to. And that's a very powerful word for me, devoting. I think it's very empowering, I think it's very freeing, and that's what happened to me. And this journey from being an explorer, a learner, to sharing what I've learned is basically what I do today at Valid Initiatives. It's in very simple terms, Valid is an educational venture which is purely aimed at building stronger and healthier character in children. They say that, I'm going to use a little bit of Hindi, just, if it
प्लीज प्लीज
comes
डू.
to, right?
हमारे पास एक बहुत हैप्पी हिंदी हिंदी ऑडियंस है.
Okay, that's good then, right? कि किसी का चित्र और किसी का चरित्र, राइट, दोनों ही उनके सच्चाई के बारे में बताती है, राइट? एक को हाथों के कलम से तोला जाता है और एक को आंखों की गहराई से समझा जाता है. So this is something which kind of comes across. So the truth beneath your flesh, the truth beneath your eyes is actually character. And I believe that that's something which our education system hasn't been able to give as much priority, and in fact is reduced with time. And I've seen that a lot of reasons why we are successful in life is actually because of that. So I said that how can we bring back, or rather, how can we modernize what we are teaching in school in terms of moral values, life skills, which are so important today, in a way that can be made relevant, creative, innovative, and most important, helps children deal with the 21st century challenges which we face today. So yeah, that's what I do, and that's what my story has kind of brought me in from.
It's very interesting that for all these years, we said the left brain and right brain, and we all knew it exists. But yet, we did not take care of the side of the brain which actually is going to take care of our emotions. And with that one NEP 2020 coming, the number of discussions, so today, Meg, I have worked with the early years and foundation for 31 years. And it's only today, after many years, that we don't have to give an explanation for why we are spending time doing all of this. Earlier, we used to have moral education. We used to have moral science and things like that. And suddenly, after some time, it disappeared. It all became science, technology, and then now you realize that all that becomes irrelevant if your base character is not strong enough. And the question that I'm going to ask you, Hank, is that when the pandemic happened, how many organizations do you know who ever predicted this is going to happen? And they say, no, that the long-term program, long-term goal, did any one organization in the world plan for this?
I really think that if we were those kind of beings, I think a lot of things which have happened in our life wouldn't happen, right? I think it's one of the things about it's one of the fallacies of being human, right? There's a reason why in the last I think 3,000 years, there's only been about 7% of these years which have been conflict free. We've spent the last 93% of the last 3,000 years fighting, which means that we don't learn from our mistakes, right? We tend to repeat them. We have this forgetful ego kind of syndrome, which means that when something happens which is very painful, we immediately rush into action. but then as time passes by, our memories fades. We're not able to share that with our next generation, and then they do the same repeat again, right? And I believe it's been the same thing, right? That our forefathers kind of shared, our foremothers also shared the importance of having balance in life. I think that's one thing which is one of the greatest gifts of our culture. It's always been about santulan, right? It's been about santushti. It's about being tripti. It has never been about achievement, because what they understand is with achievement comes desire, with desire comes achievement, and that's an endless cycle. But it's only when you end all your desires, you kind of come at a place of platitude and of peace. And I think it's been the same thing. No one was able to predict that, this would happen, and if this happens, what will happen ahead. And even today we have so many questions. So I think it's time that as collective consciousness of humanity, take some time to kind of reflect in and observe outside. I think this is one of the first times in humanity all of us have got so much time to sit down with ourselves, and I think that has great value.
So the reason I asked you this question is that when we talked about discipline, so how relevant was it at this point of time? Because there were people crumbling. I'm told, the research says that the highest used word in this last 2 years is anxiety.
Yeah.
Declared, right? So, and I did notice one thing, that people and homes that were disciplined, people and home that were resilient, they actually went through this time with much more ease. What is your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are these terms which have kind of really popped up in common parlance in the last couple of years. I'll give you a few examples of that. You would have heard the word resilience, grit, growth mindset. The three buzzwords in education everywhere in the world, right? And this has kind of come across so strongly. And as you said that, and this is science which has proven, right? Just as another fact that people who undergo some sort of character focus based training or education, or even upbringing which is based on that, tend to have much more higher income, tend to be healthier, tend to be happier, more positive, be able to, the number of people who kind of lead up to leadership positions, who tend to be better team players, more achievement in whether in sports, athletics, or in organization, all the numbers are overwhelmingly towards those people who have a sense of self-worth, who have a sense of grit, that I can face, I am more stronger than the difficulties which come to me, versus those people who've kind of got everything whenever they wanted, right? Versus those people who said that, if the government doesn't do something for us, how will we go? If my father doesn't give me that support, how will it happen? So this is actually true that it also in fact changes the biology of the brain. Thoughts change biology as much as biology changes thoughts. So this is absolutely true in that case.
And also, if we look at sports coming in, games coming in, every sports person you talk to is a person with intense discipline.
Correct.
Very few you'll come out with, who will lead a completely frivolous lifestyle. But mostly you will find people who basically follow a pattern of discipline. When you wrote this message, Year of Discipline, what all did you think was necessary for each one of us to build as that discipline?
Absolutely. So for me, again, the word discipline is so important because it is temporary pain for permanent, legendariness or permanent glory or success, whatever you call it, right? But it's such an important thing to go through. In fact, it's the only way you can ensure that you don't end up with a with an ending, or with a conclusion which you're not happy with. And I believe that when I say that discipline is so key, and for everyone listening out over there, right? Think about anything which you achieve with great difficulty, right? It's always come across because of two reasons. One is that you are unwilling to give up, right? And it was not just the fact that you were unwilling to give up, but you are willing to try again and again. The second part is different from the first, right? Willing to try is different from willing to try again and again, which means that consistency, right? There is no discipline without a sense of consistency. Imagine having a daily ritual that no matter what, this happens at this time in my life, right? It could be a waking up time, it can be a time of doing prayer, it can be a time of eating, or while eating I don't do these things, while reading I don't do that things, while working or being with someone I don't do that. All of that is a ritual in itself. It is, in fact, that itself is meditation. right? We have a very different understanding of meditation, that you close your eyes, you sit by yourself, but being in awareness in itself is sadhana or in meditation. And I believe that one of the things about discipline is that you have to understand the concept of non-negotiables, right? There is always temptation. To be human is to have temptation, right? Unless and until you introduce the concept of non-negotiables, that no matter what, this does not change, is one of the first foundational steps that we can take to bring in negotiables. And I'm going to ask a question to Sonia ji, to anyone who's listening in, right? What's that one thing which you don't want to negotiate on in your life? It could be your health, right? It could be to achievement to something, but
My
what is,
yoga class.
yeah, see,
I don't negotiate on that. I'm in comfort me, and I don't negotiate on my live show. Two things.
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
I would do anything to do these two things. Like I kind of move heaven and earth, saying any of my live sessions, I find them like my sense of worship. So
correct.
I would do, I mean, most people just look at me and say that you're so weird, suddenly something will be happening and you will go and you will do what you
Correct.
have to do. But this is, I mean, what you said, yeah, it's a, I think what Mayank has just said is absolutely so apt, that please allow your children to understand that these are non-negotiables. They have to be done. I think that's a very beautiful point you made, Mayank.
Absolutely. And I think there's always those points of, okay, maybe this one time, right? And I believe that that is where I think we make a fatal mistake, right? That one time always becomes a second time. A second time becomes a third time. And it happens sometimes unconsciously, sometimes subconsciously, but it definitely does happen. And if you reflect back upon all those aspects which you wanted to be consistent on, disciplined on, but you weren't able to, go and reflect on those things. And you will notice that when you made an exception, when you got tempted into something, when you tried to make a way that no, and we always justify that by through some other rational reason. I think when we start observing these patterns and we start saying that, what, I'm going to give my 100% devotion, dedication, commitment to this, uh, you take the first step, then that goal takes 10 steps towards coming to you, right? And that is what the world needs of us this year. And I believe that we need to empower our children with the same, because you and I have a certain amount of lifespan, right? But our children, they're inheriting a very different world, and they'll need every ounce of discipline. I think in the 21st century, Sonia ji, the one who's going to be successful is not the one who's going to be the most intelligent, because Google will always outbeat you, right? It's going to be about all the human skills our children have. It's about their levels of empathy. It's about their ability to be focused. It's about their ability to be resilient and grateful, right? It's about their ability to make connections and make connections with other concepts and ideas and people. And these are all human skills, right? Things which robots can't do. So think about it long and hard. This year could be a great beginning and start for that.
Mayank, this is so interesting. Today we are going to talk about the human skills and our abilities, and the next session is going to be on robotics.
Oh wow.
Can you believe I mean, I sometimes don't even know how, all this comes about and how we link in. So I always say this to people, that we talk of the digital world, and we actually did a program on that. Remember, there is a person sitting behind that machine.
Correct.
Actually, plan that machine for you. So it's not that the machine is planning for a machine and for a machine. There is
Absolutely.
human sitting there on behind it, actually programming it for you. So we talk of AI like it is something it is a human sitting there and programming finally, right?
Absolutely.
So yes, it's so important. Well, for me, a connect of like what you said. Another very important thing that I would like you to touch on is the
Mhm.
language we use, the indisciplined language we see in our environment,
Correct.
the tones, just the way we have the body language. Can you just talk a bit about that?
Absolutely. So as an educator, I can tell you one thing, and I know a lot of the listeners, I believe, are either parents or teachers, or school owners, or a mix of those people. One of the foundational beliefs of our organization, and I believe everyone, is that there are no bad children. There is bad behavior, right? And what we adopt to address that is a reflection of us, right? So for example, good parenting is not about how good your children are raised, it's about how good a parent you are. It's more about you than the child. A lot of times, parents ask me this question that, how do I get my child to do this, right? But that's actually not parenting. You're asking something else. You're asking that in your parenting also, my success is based on how my child does. Actually, your success is only limited to what you can do, because your child has a life and an action and behavior of their own. So when we, for example, when we speak to our young children, right, setting clear expectations is a very important part, right? So remember that if you try to prepare your children for life by making them scared of what is going to happen if they don't do this or don't do that, they're not doing it because they look forward to life. They're doing it because they don't look forward, right? And fear is never going to be a successful motivator to long term achievement, right? It can work in the short term, but it is assured it will not work in the long term. The other thing is, which I think is very very important for us to think about, is that remember that enforce consequences without anger, right? In our language, the tone which we used is 70% the decisive factor in what comes up, right? Tonality is 70%. Words is less than 20%, right? Of the whole impact of it. And 10% comes across to your body language of how exactly you said it. So remember, sometimes people say the most loveliest things, I love you, right? It's the most straightforward thing, but you still feel that this person doesn't mean it, right? And sometimes
Yes.
people can tell that, I have to leave, but the way they say, the intent, the authenticity makes you feel the warmth even in that. So it's never in the words. कहा जाता है कि शब्दों में सार नहीं, शब्दों के मध्यम में, बीच में सार होता है. So our ability to understand the messages between words is that. And it's the same thing about discipline, whether it's our children or our own life or our employees. What exactly is the way we're using? Are we using fear, right, to do this? For example, क्या आप दंड यूज कर रहे हो फॉर डिसिप्लिन, या आप धैर्य यूज कर रहे हो? आपके डर से धैर्य पैदा हो रहा है, या आपके दंड से डर पैदा हो रहा है? दैट्स एन इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग टू थिंक अबाउट. एंड रिमेंबर, डर तब तक है जब तक आप हैं, और धैर्य आप हो या ना हो, it is always there because the child now wants to do it, right? So it's the same thing. For example, I'm a values educator, right? I'm a character educator. What do I believe? I believe that character is built when children take responsibility of the kind of people they want to be. So my role is only to create an environment which is conducive for a child to say, I love what is right, I know what is right, and I will do what is right. That's it. That's all I can do. I can't make a child do what is right. So
Yes.
think about it, right? And I think the last point, Sunaj, which I like to mention is, and maybe you'll resonate with this. Have you noticed, हम लोग बच्चों पर चिल्ला चिल्ला कर कहते हैं कि मत चिल्लाओ, and that's probably the reverse, right? We don't take care of our own health, how do we tell our children to do so? We don't go, taking care of our mental health, how do we tell our children to do so? We yell and we tell them don't yell. We are like, you would have noticed, this is something which is often told about Indians: we're always in a hurry, but we're always late. We don't manage our own time, then how do we tell our children to do so? All thoughts to think about.
I quite agree with this, Mayank. I have been a teacher for early years, 31 years this year. And the first thing that I took away from my classroom was the ruler. I had thought I was 21 when I started working, and I had thought I will never bang a ruler or a duster on my table. I have not done it in 31 years.
Nice, very nice.
I also say that to teachers as a facilitator, that if you ever feel like looking at a child and saying, तुमको समझ क्यों नहीं आ रहा, you have to look at yourself and say, तुमको समझाना क्यों नहीं आ रहा? Because it's such an important part. That is the reason why this word discipline just caught my attention. I said that, my God, for me, this is the most important thing for any human anywhere in the world to have. A common one feature. That's it. If all of us are better disciplined, better aligned. So when people ask me, do you teach children 21st century skills? I just teach them discipline. They will skill up themselves. You don't need anything else. I ask you, is there any experience experience, any interaction with any children or parents, which is like a story you would like to share with us?
Absolutely. So I know that. So we work with different children, parents, and this thing, and we actually do some sort of a very special bonding events, right? Because that's something which we believe that children are not cups to be filled in schools. They're candles to be lit in schools, which means that जागृति, right? कि अगर जागृति आई तो जागरण होता है, भागने की नहीं जगने की जरूरत है. So in one of our events where we do an event called Charan Sparsh, right, where we actually have children and parents sitting in front of each other, having conversation on those topics that generally they never speak about. One of the instances this happened was where one of the parents kind of stood up and shared a story that this is something which my child taught me. And this is a great moment of humility, right? Because this was happening in that event when they were speaking about what's one thing which you saw your mama or papa do wrong, right? Which you felt you want to point out. Because हमेशा होता है कि parents tell कि my child is doing this. So the question was, tell one thing where you felt that mama or papa didn't do it right. This was a way of being humility. So she says that my child and me and my family, my child, we stay on the second floor of it, and my parents, my husband's parents, stay at the bottom floor. So the mother of the husband kind of was unwell. So she kind of called several times in the same day that can you please come get me this, can you please come get me that. एक बार बुलाया, दो बार बुलाया, third बार बुलाया. And eventually she kind of got very, very tired about the whole process. And she lashed out over the phone when the grandmom called the fourth time, saying that बार बार कितु आप बुलाओगे, how many times will you call, I also have feet, I also get tired. And she just keeps the phone going. And it so happens that the child was observing this whole thing, right? He was right next to her, and he kind of after the mom kind of settled down, a very smart boy, kind of settles down, this boy goes to his mom, and the mom has tears in her eyes as she's narrating the story, right? She tells that my own son tells that, mama, one day you will also stay down, and I and my wife also will stay, right? वो आपकी माँ है, right? आप मेरे लिए इतना कुछ करते हो. If I ever spoke to you this way. So the child in that moment felt the pain of what it is to treat someone like that. He couldn't imagine that his role model, and I always, first role model is a parent, right? हर बच्चा जब वो छोटा होता है, like when he's very innocent and nice, always wants to be like his mom and dad, because they are everything to them. They are the first, they're the first Vedas. They're the first Bible that the child reads is the parent. They want to be like, and he couldn't see the fallacy of this role model, right? And the parent then says that, what, I'm so happy that there is a school where I'm sending my child, where my child is learning how to respect me also, because this is the best life insurance policy anyone can have. मैं कितना भी पैसा भरूं, but who's paying the insurance and premium of time with your children, these values? This is what is going to be a point to it one. So when the parent told this to me, it kind of gave me that gush of energy again, that what you are doing is in the right path. You're bringing people and families, sons and daughters, mothers and sons and fathers and daughters together, so that they can live with love and not just because they have to.
So discipline is also about time. So it's also very interesting. So when I do parenting sessions, a lot of time people are like, I remember once somebody had a little baby and she called me up and said, can you give me some parenting tips? I was like, okay. So what kind? She says that, see, I'm doing the Google, I'm checking on the net, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I said, I wish you didn't do all that and just spend time with your child. Just look at your child and look into the eyes of the child. Do things at a rhythm with the child. Also, man, because we're talking about discipline and we're talking about little children, the happiest child on the first birthday is the child.
Okay.
Because nothing is working on a daily rhythm with that child. Okay. The child is wearing pokey clothes, you're not dressing up the child properly, you're cooking for the child. I'm also bringing this up because I see a lot of this. The most unhappy children these days are children who are dragged to the malls. Having children who are throwing tantrums, I'm having them all around me. Okay. We are having a lot of panic. We're having anger at homes. We're having, it's a very, very tough time. And now everybody's at the end of their nerve.
No, yeah.
It's just being stretched, So if we have to look at a home, a mother or father sitting on the laptop the whole day, their thing, what is it that you visualize when you say, I'm going to find time to make discipline for my family? As a young, I'm sure you and your wife are a young couple with responsibilities. How would you take out this little time to create this environment of discipline?
So I'll probably go back to the first thing. I feel the simplest things are sometimes the most powerful. Simply having a ritual, right, which your family can co-commit to, can co-create, and then simply stick to it, right? There is no mega science in this. There is no multiple levels and layers of thought process matter. For example, simply having a meal in one day together with your child, that's also one amazing amount of discipline, right? And you can't kind of chart out your entire life, chart out your entire child's growth journey, etc., whatever. It happens, right? All that you can do is to follow those simple principles which can lead it towards that direction, right? So for example, if your child is going to make some choices which are not in alignment with your values, it's going to happen, right? Like for example, I'm being bold over here, Sonia ji. There's a very good chance 90% of us are going to see someone or the other having a marriage with a third sex couple in our lifetime now. Now, you may or may not agree to it. We might have not even, for our parents, maybe it's completely out of picture, right? But for you and me, it's going to happen. Now, those are things which life is going to throw at us, right? And we will have to have the discipline of open mindedness also. Even that is a discipline, right? That how do I every day, for example, not raising your voice. For example, I practice something called scream free classes. My entire organization, whenever we do not raise the volume of your voice, raise the quality of your argument.
Absolutely.
But that happens, it's easier to do that when you know that you don't have the other choice, which means that kuch bhi ho jaye, screaming is not a possibility. You feel very angry, hold your fist, close it. You feel very angry, breathe faster. These are, and this is on what I'm saying is not something which is me telling it alone, right? It is our forefathers, it is scientists, which basically is a simpler way of saying pranayam releases all the tension and stress and anxiety out over there.
Yes, and Mayank, I am actually happy that we bring up different people, different topics, different thoughts on this platform, because when you grow a community of people, and that's what this whole platform is about. It's about being open-minded enough not to feel uncomfortable with anything that is going to be calling for our change of mindset. It could be thoughts, it could be different behavior patterns, it could be so many different things. And this is one very, very beautiful part of this journey, which I have enjoyed a lot, because I feel that any speaker who comes in has a thought. There is always a reason why a person mentions something. So, this is for our audience to also look and say that, yeah, when you grow your children, don't grow them with so much of rigidity that they don't learn how to absorb anything that's going to be different. It's going to be a very, very different world as the children grow. I experience this a lot with my children. My daughter is now 30 and she looks at me and says, oh my God, mom, like, you have, so I love, and also what is very beautiful about the Square Panda team is it's a very young team of people. So the kind of energies, the kind of, and you have to, I actually have started understanding the word agility after meeting this team.
Yeah, very important. Yeah.
What you're saying is absolutely so correct. What I made one whole page of notes while you were talking.
Wow.
Yes. So what I loved about it was the points that you made: unwilling to give up, but try and be consistent. Don't have negotiables. At least have some non-negotiables in your life. Don't even give that one chance of indiscipline. It's going to be your first chance and it can be a repeated pattern. Please reflect. Don't give justifications. The human skills are going to be so important. Set your expectations realistically and beautifully. टोन बहुत अच्छी होनी चाहिए आपकी बात करने की. I think that's what I always, a lot of people tell me कि आपको गुस्सा नहीं आता. I said, हाँ जी, मुझे गुस्सा आता है. लेकिन that doesn't mean कि मेरी tone खराब हो जाती है. So yes, I understand that part of it. I love the fact that you do sessions where children can talk about what went wrong with an incident when they were interacting with their parents. So I love the word Charan Sparsh very, very beautifully. Keep family rituals, eat your meals together, switch off digital devices. Understand that discipline is a beautiful thing. So when I started talking to Mayank, my sheet was blank, and today I leave with a nice full sheet of notes. And appreciation for your time, Mayank. I also have to tell the audience that Mayank and his wife partner with a very beautiful concept which he spoke to me about, and he said they have a values lab. And I told him that no, we can't let this be just a part of a talk. We have to sit down and know about it. Yes, Mayank, a little dot on that, and then we'll catch you and Hinari together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for mentioning that. So one of the things which kind of we kind of have been putting energy on is, imagine that when you went to school, you have science labs, you have computer labs, you have language labs now these days as well, right? But where do we have a dedicated place which can be focused for the internal growth of our children, the mind growth of our children, the consciousness and awareness and lifting their thought process up, their mindset up? What if you had a dedicated place for that? And that's the foundational question we started with. And one thing led to the other. Over almost about 2 years of research, thinking, figuring out, I eventually found one school which actually said that, I'll give you one classroom, tell me, like, see what you can do around it. And from that concept, I'm happy to say that, today I think I've done this with about with 6 schools in this country, and this year I think we should be making it into 10 more schools, where we've created these beautiful places. Imagine having a gratitude station, right, where you practice gratitude. Imagine having a place where you look at all the role models, right, and you get to choose them. Imagine having an appreciation corner. Imagine having a place where you can put down all the challenges which you have in your life, and you can speak your heart through a
You have to
tune.
know, you have to let us discover the wonder of it you with your team next time.
Absolutely.
And the one very beautiful thing that I see with passion is that when people love what they do, it is so easy to speak about it. That's a reason I don't send any list of questions to my speakers, because everyone
Yeah.
is
Just a
passionate. So we have to have this understanding of the value lab, and I'm going to request you and your beautiful team to come and be with us a little later when you have a little more time. And deep gratitude, like I said, I don't know about the gratitude corner, but this little space I sit every Thursday actually makes me feel a lot of gratitude.
wonderful. Same here as well.
Thank you so very much. And thank you, Sejal, for this beautiful. So we have this young girl, Sejal, who hosts our events. And I think that every day I look at her managing everything on her own. So deep gratitude today. And Mayank, thank you so much. Thank you.
Square Panda.